the Stop, Collaborate, Listen edition. We're back after a very long departure from the airwaves. We don't have the YouTube bot. We tried to get it working, but it no working. So you can imagine the beautiful dulcet tones of Kev singing some kind of song right now. But we are excited to have, I think, basically almost every major sphere represented today. So we're going to be discussing and diving into some things that have happened over the past, I don't even know. I think the last time we did an episode was Hog Fortuna War. So everything that's happened since, which is a lot of things. So we'll cover quickly, but let's introduce our hosts. No, let's introduce our panel here real quick. I'll start from the top from what I can see. Representing the Midgard block, James, please say hello to your lovely fans. Oh, wow, that's nice.
Good evening. I am not in an airport.
I wish you were. That'd be nice. So that was a fun episode.
We should, next time you're in an airport, we should have you ask random people what they think about what's going on in PNW, just to see their reaction.
Isn't that Kilo's job? Like men on the street email interviews.
I'm sorry, I have an iPhone 6S. My battery can't handle that.
Oh, jeez.
It's okay. All right, so James, what's going on in Midgard today? How you guys?
We are pleasant farmers, just minding our business. Leave us alone, please, and thank you.
That's fair. Next person down, representing the block known as Floridia. We have
nice try.
We have Sketchy. Wow, we don't take sides, Darklick. Come on.
We got some biased.
No, that's an appropriate intro for me. I'll take it.
Okay. Please introduce yourself to the Morf Radio audience here, Sketchy.
I am Sketchy, the leader of Paradise, co-leader, I should say. And I'm just a humble farmer, farming cities. Just like James said, that's me also. Nothing going on over here. Don't look any closer.
Now, how did it feel to successfully coup Kev? We'll talk about that later. Actually. Because Velyni just told me to talk about that later. So, next person in the panel, we have Mr. Shwinn representing, I believe, what we are officially calling. What is it? We're calling it.
I believe it's TFP Sphere Thingy. All
one
word.
Yeah, TFP Sphere Thingy. Yeah. How is things in TFP Sphere Thingy?
Pretty good. We're getting our monthly bullying by Dryad, but everything else is going swimmingly.
Nice.
And nice. Yeah.
That is what we like to hear. And then representing the Fortuna, we have longtime friend of the show, Mr. Wana. Wana, how are things in Fortuna Land?
Things are good. It's been quiet, I will say, but it's been good. It's no complaints yet.
Yeah, round of applause. And then we have our lovely assistant co-host / probably going to have to host some of the show, Miss Mia Khalifa, a.k.a. Velyni Boss. Velyni, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us. Good to get back on the radio and get this show started. Morf Radio is staple of the community, so I'm excited.
This is my official launching of my Sexiest Voice 2024 campaign.
All right, you got to do shows to get that, Morf. So
I know, that's why I'm starting off strong. So, and I am the Supreme Spooky Daddy, Mr. Morf, representing, I guess, apparently Odu, aka Dodgeball here. And we're here to dodge some wrenches and possibly some balls.
Did that become a thing?
When did what become a thing?
Dodgeball.
It's always been dodgeball.
Really?
For like the last couple months at least, yeah.
A dodo sphere.
No, Udu, man.
Oh, doo-doo, yeah, sorry.
Udu. We even have a mascot. It's a Sudowoodo with a dodgeball thing. So it's very
Okay.
fancy. So now I'm gonna turn this over to Miss Mia Khalifa Velnivas, and he can ask some questions.
oh geez, you're dropping the first question right on me.
Well, yeah, I have to represent my sphere too,
Oh my
man.
gosh, I thought you would at least get us started. Ah, let me think of a good starting point here. So obviously things have been quiet. Last show we had was, I believe, around the hog fight around the beginning of the year. So things have been relatively quiet. We've had some shuffles, obviously the post-war shuffles that always happen. So I guess we can just start out. Let's talk about our spheres and kind of if we see anything coming up anytime soon, or are we just kind of content? Things have been awfully quiet. So I'm gonna start with Wana because Wana, you're my best buddy here, and after we started the year off right. We had a nice little skirmish, got our ass rotisserie styled over a campfire. You guys kind of in the driver's seat here, I guess, for in most people's mind. How does do you feel that you guys are the people to keep an eye on right now, or do you feel like it's being kind of overblown?
I think it's a little overblown. I think obviously we are in a good position and we're happy with the position that we are in currently. But I do think that there are other actors who could do interesting things. I think that there are other spheres that have strength in certain places and are maybe not, I wouldn't say, it's tough to be, sort of that direct matchup in terms of TS and Eclipse in terms of the high chair. But I think that there are other spheres that have power other than Fortune. I don't think Fortune is necessarily the only sphere that is powerful right now and the only sphere that is able to make moves.
Okay. And I would say right now, most people, I'm just gonna speak completely, flat here. At least from where I stand, most people are, pointing at you guys and in Florida, being, that nice little, kind of setup, kind of like we saw with what was it, Fault in Our Stars. And do you feel like, I guess, Sketchy, I'm going to move that to you. Do you feel like this game and our community pressures each other to fight? Like, do you really see that like as realistic competition, or do you feel like this is just the game's like, well, these guys are the only two people that can possibly fight each other that makes sense? Trying to
That's a
force
lot
you.
of that is a lot of word salad to ask me whether or not Florida and Fortuna should fight. And so that sounds like that question actually is. Is that the question you want me to
If
answer?
you want me to be blunt, Sketchy, I could be blunt.
Yeah. It's okay. Just give me the straight facts, bro.
I'll give it to all right.
Look.
I'm gonna rephrase it for you. Do you feel like you are the only contender against Fortuna right now?
I think if you look at the numbers right now of all the spheres, yeah, Florida is probably the largest. besides Fortuna, sure. But I don't think in the history of the game, I don't think it's just, one sphere fights another sphere. You have groups of people who are all in the middle right now. You included, who could come together and form a coalition to fight someone, to fight Florida, to fight Fortuna. So I don't subscribe to the idea that Florida has to fight Fortuna because we're the only ones large enough to do it. That's just not true. It's just because everyone else has less clear treaty patterns. Doesn't mean that that's how it has to go, in my opinion. Anyway.
Okay. And Wana, what do you feel like on your side about that pressure? The community, like I said, just kind of going back to the community, a lot of times that's the default, is they're just like, well, you're the two biggest, so you have to fight. Do you think that puts more pressure on you guys to maybe overblow a situation that's minuscule?
No, I don't. I think that there would have to be a reason for us to fight. There would have to be, a sort of a larger picture to consider. And I think that, and I want to say this very, very explicitly. I think that the idea that you just have to fight someone because they could get an economic advantage over you is stupid. And I didn't like when TKR used it against us, and I'm not going to use that as a reason to roll another sphere.
Now, Wana, for spice purposes, is that not what your beef against Grumpy was? Was it not?
Besides the fact that they repeatedly had targeted us and had repeatedly fought us, I'm not gonna. And I also, you have to understand that part of that, I hit Grumpy once in my entire career as FA exec, and that was specifically when Ronnie had actually run his mouth on this show and said that he wanted to hit us at some point after, the war that they had fought against Rose. And my reasonings have never been economic in nature. And I don't think that you can go back and you can look at all of my DOW threads. You can look at all of our wars. That's never been how I operate.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. You had brought that up, and I just remember Grumpy was, big about, that whole spiel about staying ahead of each other, that, that upper tier trying to cripple that. And, I would say, I mean, right now with Test over there, and whatnot, and even Rose's growth, I think you're always going to have that economic backlash, if you will. Somebody's gonna try and use that against you. But I'm with you.
I push back further against that, because throughout all of my time as FA exec, I made it very, very clear where I stood and where I have stand on the issue of like breaking Grumpy up or something of that nature. And I think that there are reasons to fight Grumpy, and I think that there are always reasons to sort of dislike and fear sort of top tier cohesion in that regard. But I've never once made the argument that they should be broken up, that, anything of that nature.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Wana. I'm gonna get off you for a little bit. I do more. Can I say something real quick? Just just because TKR was mentioned and with the whole economic hit thing, I do think economic reasons can be valid war reasons.
I think it's lazy. I frankly think it's very lazy. And I think that if you want to have politics and war, you can't hit people over just economic reasons.
I mean, I think it's political in nature. You're trying to give yourself advantages anywhere you can. That's politics. Economics and growth.
I will respond to that. I think that if you can't grow and you have to hit other spheres to catch up, then that's a you problem, and you should just grow more. I don't feel the need to hit other spheres to keep up with their growth. I just grow. That's what I do. You should try it.
Got a rebuttal on that, Morf?
No, I mean, growth is growth, but Alliance's job, a sphere's job, is to try and take out their own best interests. And if you can see yourself,
I mean, how do you define best interests?
I mean, you're trying to strategically place yourself in places that are going to benefit you in the long term. If you're watching yourself fall farther and further and further behind, I think it's
Well,
a
I
fair
mean,
thing.
I'm not watching myself fall further and further behind, so I guess I can't really relate to that. But I would.
mean-
Yeah, exactly what Baden just said. Seems like a TKR problem to me.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what we are doing. I'm saying that this is a valid strategy that is
Okay.
possible to work. Like, just saying, "Oh, I'm only going to hit people based off if they do something to me."
I don't know. I would
hit people
argue.
because you want to hit people. I mean, CBs
Well,
are
fair, but
basically almost always created at this point. Like,
okay. My
people are
point
just
is that I
holding
don't think
things in their pocket.
economics are a strong CB. Like, really,
I
if
mean,
you attack another sphere,
it's
the
never.
people who benefit from that are the ones not in the war, not.
I'm not saying economics are the only reason why you hit somebody. Like, economics, we use the whole honey badger don't care thing when we hit Celestial.
I don't know. I
as
guess
Hollywood. But
I
there were
just
other
have the
reasons why we
confidence
hit them
that
at
I
that
can
point.
grow without attacking another
If there were a
sphere.
reason for why you hit us, no one was ever made aware other than anyone in your coalition.
I mean, it was the whole thing that Velyni was just talking about, the will they, won't they kind of thing of everyone wanted Celestial and Hollywood to fight. We've gone over this before, but we can revise history and say it was purely economical if we want, but it wasn't purely economical. It was just an easy reason to go then.
Then provide. Then if that's true, then you can provide everyone your reasons right here. What were your reasons for that war? Because you never provided them to me, or I think, to my knowledge, anyone else.
We've talked about this at length in our own discussions that we've had in back channels. It was never purely economical. Celestial and Hollywood were natural rivals, and it was a thing for a while. The economic reason of Honey Badger care was a opportunity cost, but everyone saw that war coming at some point.
So this is. I mean, let me just be clear. This is you saying that you are being opportunistic. You just said that.
I mean, you can assume, yeah, everyone can.
No, I
assume
mean
that.
you literally just used the word opportunity. Am I wrong?
I mean,
about that?
it was an opportunity. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so no, just so we're being clear, because I don't want to be an asshole to you here, but I just want us to be clear, sort of what it is we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was an economic moment of opportunity, but it was also a political and strategical opportunity as well. Just like Midgard taking us out at that point was an opportunity because they had milled up on us and they took us out. Just like the Hog War, it was an opportunity because they were worried that you were going to hit them before. Every war is opportunistic in nature. That's how this game works. You fight when you want to fight. It's not like we have a calendar that says I have to go now. You choose your time, you choose your ground, you choose your moment. Everything is opportunistic.
So, Wana, I know you want to chime in here, but I want to ask one more question just regarding this economic and so forth. Do you believe that there's a genuine cycle of war? You know, you haven't been in a war and, you know, X amount of globals, you're due for a war, and that somebody's going to drag you in. Is that not economical in a sense?
No. I think the political reality is that the larger major spheres are always looking at each other, and so there are plenty of groups that can just slide by for a long time without having to fight anyone. I think the nature of the game is there's a cycle for global wars, but I don't think there's a cycle for your participation in globals. You can duck out of them if you sign the right people. It's most people, like most of the people here don't. So
Fair. I just wanted to ask that while we were real quick. Wana, you can continue if there's anything else you wanted to.
No, I'm good with what I said.
Okay.
I made my point.
Thank you. So on that straight kind of same point, James, Midgard, they obviously you guys hit Odu Spear. You know, it started over the what was that, the CTO nonsense and the Spanky stuff all kind of started that. Led into a war. You guys obviously performed, well given the circumstance, which was pretty hard not to. You probably would have been laughed at if you had blown that opportunity. But what's next for you guys? You guys kind of riding off of a new high. Are you worried about a revenge war? You guys kind of sitting back and waiting to see if anybody comes your way, or what's kind of the thinking going on right now in Midgard?
Well, certainly don't feel like anybody should be looking at us. I mean, we can't really, at this current time, we don't really pose any sort of threat, I feel, especially considering our lack of upper tier and whatnot. We have spoken with TKR since, it's not too much bad blood there. Morf is such a nice guy, and it's hard to stay away with a voice like that. He just pulls you back in. It's really hard. But we're just chilling over here. We're just watching, seeing what's going on. Like I said, we're farming. We'd really like to just be left alone for a while.
Okay.
Some of us have done a lot of fighting over the last year plus.
Okay.
I would like to leave
Great.
you alone, but I'm afraid it says here on my calendar that I have to hit Midgard tomorrow, so can't
F
happen.
your calendar.
The calendar never lies. The calendar never lies. So, one topic that I was kind of discussing earlier regarding Midgard, and I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on this. What's kind of the feeling? Leadership change over there in Aurora. Toxic leaving, Con leaving. I believe I saw a split off of a couple low gov leaving as well, perhaps. Just anything going on over there that stability wise, or not obviously not leaking OPSEC too much, but do you think it's just kind of things take off?
Any and all OPSEC is welcome in this chat.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, look, those two guys led Aurora for a long time, so they wanted to do something different. I mean, Khan is, I guess, technically, he's just doing the same thing, just in a different alliance now, basically. He runs FA for whatever, Legion of Dawn. I think that's TCW's new name.
Hey, congratulations. You got your ally right.
It's very
I hope
confusing. I mean, they're still mostly all those old people, and I liked the old name better, honestly, if I'm being honest. I mean, Legion of Dawn makes me think of some George Romero zombie stuff.
The guy with Fark wealth.
But I talk to She all the time, and they're, as far as I'm aware, they're doing fine. Everything is fine with us. We're all happy.
Business as usual after the leadership change.
It's just a big snuggle fest in our private chats.
Sounds pretty gay, James.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, Mia Khalifa is welcome anytime to spicing things up.
Oh man. So I mean, okay, so let's harp on you guys just a little more on this. So you look at that. You said nobody should be looking your way with mid tier, or because of your high tier. You kind of keep to yourselves. Do you believe that you will make a change to trying to get some high tier in there? Do you believe, or do you think it's in your best interest to kind of stay in your lane? I say stay in your lane as in continuing what you're already doing.
It is in the Sphere's best interest to find, a friend to be a high tier, to join, to come over to us, to poach somebody or something like that. If anybody's feeling neglected by their allies, please come speak to us. We'd love to talk to you. we have many gifts.
Grumpy Guard, baby.
Yo, Grumpy is available.
Grumpy Guard.
Well,
Middle-
who knows what goes on over there?
Middle bastards.
Well,
That's
they're
even
just
me.
angry at everything. That's what goes on.
But they're old, they're old people. Of course, they're angry at everything. That's like the gist of it.
So with that being said, just kind of staying on that tune, do we we'll bring this to Shwinn because I haven't given you a chance to talk yet. When you look at the way these spheres are divided, Fortuna, they stayed big but smaller, less alliances. Obviously, Eclipse and TS are extremely large themselves and whatnot. But do you feel like the lack of excitement right now is due to the lack of competition between how diverse the last four or the other four spheres are?
I'm not really sure if I can say anything really to that. This is the way things have been for a long time, if we're all being honest. The same people are on top that have always been on top. Midgard is what it's, what the alliances that compose of it have always been, very mid and low tier centric, trying to build that up. Do I think some of it's unfair? I don't know. I mean, everybody complained about Grumpy and Guardian being, the big dog on the block, and now they're gone, but still the same couple of alliances are up there at the top. So I don't know. Maybe.
Sketchy, what do you think? Do you think that's kind of the current stalemate that we're at? Do you think it's lack of CB? Do you think it's just lack of competition?
Yeah, we definitely need diversity quotas.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you wanted a serious answer. My bad. No, I don't. I don't think that's. This game is the same. It's always the same. There's always large major alliances that are running everything. That's always been true. I don't think that has anything to do with the slow nature of politics at the moment. I think we're just in a lull, and I think that will go away eventually. I think there's always cycles of people going, "Oh, nothing's happening," and then things happen.
We're in a lull because there's still a nap too in place.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, long naps have an impact. I think shorter naps would be better.
Yeah, naps
No
are
naps
not.
would be best.
Oh yes. Well, I don't know. I
think small naps
was
are okay,
gone.
but
I was gone for 2 years. I came back, and there's definitely the game is definitely a lot quieter, especially on the forums. I've noticed there's like no forum drama, which is a bit sad.
I'm trying to do my part. I can't do much, but I'm trying to post what I can on the forums. But yeah, no, I think I definitely think the forums, and naps play a big part. Obviously, Fortuna is doing, and Eclipse have done a good job of napping their targets and having
before you go any further, I want to remind people that the nap length was largely dictated last war, not by Fortuna.
Yeah, I'm gonna get onto that actually, Wana.
I think that's important to remember because like the fact that they're the 4 month nap was a decision made by
GGO.
Parties like Grumpy, not us.
Yep, that was strictly a GGO thing, which yeah, actually I'll just mention that now. So during peace talks, Fortuna actually, obviously they wanted a nap of some sort. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wana, the original was supposed to be 2 months.
That's what I heard, 2 months. Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So that is why we did 2 months. I did try to get a little lower, but I think they gave me like a few days less. But that is why Hand of Fate ended up with the 2 month. But GGO did request to extend theirs to a 4 month.
No. Didn't they request a 6 month nap?
They actually
were
requested
trying.
2 years,
Oh,
if we're
okay.
being honest.
Yeah, they originally opened with 2 years.
Okay, yeah. I thought I know it was a ridiculously long map.
So I mean, so yeah, there is that. But I do think that the shorter naps should play a strategic part. I will say this. I was anti-nap personally when I was in TFP. The more I really started thinking about it, obviously as I grew as a player, there is a strategic benefit to this. So I'm okay with naps now. I actually think that they can stale the game down, which obviously, as you see, we're talking about a 4-month nap with GGO here. But I think some nap and play is, I think use it to your advantage. If someone's willing to accept it, why not?
Well,
It-
this
you know,
this this nap was particularly, I think, rough on the game just because of GGO then split. So then there's parts of the nap in Florida, and there's parts of the nap
Nowhere.
with Grumpy, and it's nowhere land, and then then it's not just like the 2 spheres that fought that are
Right.
impacted by the nap. There's one sphere died, and then now it's the other somewhat on par sphere that is impacted. So it was slightly different than
Well,
a
I
typical
don't
nap.
really understand what the big deal is. I don't think the naps are the problem because like
It's not the problem. It's just
the wars
impacted.
only ended like what, January, December was it? Like it's not been that long since.
It ended like the beginning of February.
Yeah, late.
The
February.
normal historical cycle is like you get 3 months of peace, then you get a global, then you get 3 months of, that's like roughly where it's always been.
I will
the second
say,
month.
in general, thank your stars in some regards, because like in Cyber Nations, wars came like they were like a yearly thing. The fact that we get like 3 or 4 major globals in a year, I think is actually really reasonably good for the game.
Imagine how completely trash the market would be if we only fought once a year.
Oh man.
Yeah,
It's pretty bad right now.
I know it's already bad now, but imagine how much worse it would be.
The market's a fucking disaster.
Oh man.
We had a 9-month peace period once, and that was very bad.
Wasn't that after whatchamacallit? Wasn't that
IQ days.
I was gonna say, wasn't that after NPL? We had like
I thought that was a 6-month nap, wasn't it?
It was before MPO's. It was before Islamic Crusade. It's a long time ago now. But yeah, it's nowhere near as bad as that. So I'm not. I don't know. 3 or 4 months of peace isn't a huge deal. And if people want there to be more drama, and they're not in Florida or they're not in Fortuna, then maybe they should make the drama. This is my thought.
Point.
I don't think it's my responsibility to create content for you because you don't want to do it. Is my perspective.
Cool. That's. I'm gonna leave it on that. I ain't even gonna let him comment on that one.
I'm here to run the alliance how I want to and do what I want to do, and you got to do what you want to do.
Speaking
how
of
everyone should be
running
thinking.
alliances, Sketchy. Had DB, you were over in Midgard over there. They ship off. Head over to Florida, you bring them in, and then you jump ship to another ally.
Look, I'm making moves. Okay, what can I say?
What is he cooking?
Are you gonna be in charge of Rose here in a couple of weeks then, or how does that work?
Who's wait, a couple of weeks? It's been how long has it been since we made Florida? It's been done. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but like actually in charge of Rose, like take Abbas off his throne,
Abbas isn't on any throne. Abbas is just that like a gnat, annoying little gnat who's always buzzing around, saying things.
The question I was going to ask, Sketchy, is do you think that you switching alliances and leaving DB do you think that devalues DB as an alliance? Does anybody think that this, you see this from, another internal member?
I mean, I was in DB. I joined December and I left February, March.
Not that long.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I would.
So,
Sorry. Go ahead.
So what I will say is that any value that you think was added to DB was added when I joined, and then when I left, it's gone. Is what you're saying. So they were better for 3 months. I don't know. I mean, all the work that I did at DB persists when I leave. They're still the fastest grown alliance of the year so far. I don't know if they'll maintain that now that I'm gone, but the numbers are there, so I don't need to worry about that. I don't think it's going to matter much to DB that I left, but others people may disagree.
Who's in charge of there now? Was it Yoda or?
Yeah, it's Yoda. Well, yeah, he was in charge when I was there. Like I was the FA head. I wasn't the leader of DB.
I would also say I think it's a sign. It's a good sign when you're able to recruit talent. I don't think being able to recruit outside talent is something you should look down on. I think it's most alliances have survived off of the talent that didn't start there in one way or another. Like, for instance, for TS, we had people like Adam and Shiho and people like that who were not TS and were not had not been brought up in our system, but were very important members to our government over the years.
Yeah, I mean, like with me joining Paradise, the thing is, a lot of the people from Paradise were from Children of the Light back like 2 years ago, and that was the alliance I was in when I left the game. So I know a lot of them. It wasn't too much of a stretch to slide in and take charge, basically. And I've known people from DB for a very long time. I literally helped them form. I protected them. So I don't think it's my connections to these groups aren't as weak as you might think, I guess.
Fair.
It's a natural fit, basically, is what I'm saying.
Do you we'll go to James and actually Shwinn first. Let's go to you. Hi Shwinn. Haven't heard your voice yet.
Hello. Yeah, I've
sorry
been sitting in the
about
corner for about 30 minutes. But I had to finish my food anyway, so it's all right.
That's where TF people are.
TFP sphere.
Corner away from all the good stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Do you believe so again, we're departures and so on and so forth. Not only Sketchy leaving DB, but you have Black Knights. They had their splinter. Fortuna picked up a lot of that gov.
Wow.
And Black Knight obviously remains with Odu there. How much staple do you put into, let's say, I don't know if this is the right term. I don't want to start too much on this, but a rival, if you will, a rival sphere. They take off there. They not only split, but then they go into what many look at it as the top sphere in the game right now. How do you feel about when that happens? What position is Black Knights in, and what's the thinking of the government that departed?
Well, that's a very interesting question because we at TFP have had our fair share of leaders leave
Yeah.
for not seeing eye to eye with, well, typically, I guess, the old guard, or there's some disagreement or something like that. So that's an excellent question to ask me. But I think eventually they will hopefully get back to somewhere where back to the level that they were before all their gov left. I think it'll obviously take a lot of time. I mean we had our really like Harry and Kaz and Cosmos and Vice and the others. We had them leave, I think, in
Ages ago now.
Guns N' Roses, I think the summer of 2021. And then we were doing, all right, I guess. But obviously it takes some time to get back to the level that we were before they left. And then obviously Vel left in, I think, January of 22. So that was a departure that we had to, I guess, fill in from there. So, but I think eventually, if some people stick together and really put their heads together and try to make something work, then I think eventually they can get back. In terms of the old gov that left, um, I don't know. I mean, there's obviously some philosophy, philosophy differences, at least some vision differences than what they see with BK right now. So, and they obviously decided that they couldn't try and change it. I mean, that was similar to what happened with us too, with all of our leaders departing. That they decided to pretty much leave instead of trying to fix what was already here. And it's in my opinion, at least, it's tough to leave a community like that, especially some of these BK guys that have been there for so long. So it is it must not have been an easy decision, but I guess they made it, and now they're chilling with the big boys over at Eclipse. So that is very interesting. Some more some protection. It's like I think they have a few high guys, so it's like surrounding themselves with a little bit of meat shields. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
Oh, I have a question for you, Velyni. Is it a bad thing that they've splintered off? I would
No,
think it's
I don't.
a net
I don't
positive
personally believe
for the
so.
game.
I mean, when I look at it, when I look at an alliance that splits of that magnitude, that's either going to signal one of two things for me. So number one, it's going to be that they don't believe in what the leader is doing, um, in terms of ties. So and I'm going to reference Thelmore's show here because I kind of talked about this a little bit, but my exact words were, "I think ODO is in shambles." I said that it was a matter of time before I think somebody kind of puts their foot on their throat. Um, I personally believe it's a telling sign when if a lot of gov leaves in a specific alliance, it's either an internal problem or it's a block problem, in my opinion. And the way that I took it with a lot of the moves that were going on internally was it was a bigger block problem, and they decided to go to a
Really?
stronger block that they agreed in. So that was
Yeah.
my personal
But
take.
I don't have
that's
as
the
much insight
incorrect
into
take.
BK. But that doesn't
It
seem.
was very much an internal problem
Yeah.
with BK and WAP.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely my perspective on it, but those are the only two things. I was going to ask you more. How did you take the news? When they not only left, you see an exodus with a long-term ally that you had, but then to go to, another sphere. What was kind of the feeling going through your guys's, uh, through the channels over there?
I'd say disappointment just with how it was handled. Like I totally understand why they split. Some of the issues in BK that they were dealing with were fair issues, but to not give notice to your own government and try to take out grants and loans and things like that at the same time, and then just leave without telling anyone, a little shady. But
Well, there's
we'll,
drama for you.
yeah, we'll miss
What we
them.
like to say.
We'll miss those guys like Clown and Super Cheese. Some of those guys are some of my favorite people. So like it's definitely a bummer. But we're trying to do what we can to help BK because there's still people there that we really care about, still like working with. So
Are you gonna poach for a merge over there, Morf?
no, we're not trying to eat them. So
Wana, I don't know the right way to say this, but in my opinion, it's some sort of a victory if you can weaken an opponent on the field. Do you feel like getting them to split off and bringing them into your sphere was a maybe a battlefield win for yourself, in a way?
To a degree, I think you're right. I think that the point you make is correct, that anytime that you can peel people off of your enemy or off of a rival sphere and to you is beneficial to you, obviously. But I think that in this case, I'm just happy that these people are in a place where they feel like they can be successful. And I'm happy that they have decided to be with us. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that, you want people to be having a good time in the game. You don't want people to be staying in a miserable situation. It's the same thing, it's getting the divorce is tough is tough, but it's, sometimes it's the right choice. And I think that if they felt like it was the right choice in this matter, then I support them in the matter.
Okay. Next question I was going to have was, I wanted to bring up, and I'm going to stay out of this one completely unless somebody pulls me in here. Obviously, talking about the O levels that happen, we haven't really had a chance to speak about it given the show time frame, but you have Requiem, kind of doing the O level thing. You have Bourbon Street, who was doing it, who was just moved up to an M level, which we'll talk about a little separately. You have Grumpy, Knights Templar, CTO, TFP, and House Start, I believe, are your main people. A Sketchy, or we'll just go top to bottom. James, we'll start with you. What's your thought on the individuals doing O levels? Do you think it's pointless? Do you think it? Some people have said it's good for the game. It brings flexibility. Some have said, I believe Change Up has said that it was a way to pixel hug and cowardice. I believe was his exact words. So, what's your thoughts revolving around O levels?
That was to James, correct?
Yep, for James. I don't know if he heard.
Is he there? James.
Right, he might be stoned out of his ass. Go ahead, Sketchy.
Okay.
Rip James.
1 second while I process the question. So what's my opinion on ODs?
Yep.
Well, first I will point out with Bourbon Street, I feel like Bourbon Street doesn't count in that list because if I remember correctly, didn't they just OD sign like the whole of Odoo?
Yep. That's what we were going to talk about it.
I will say, to me, that's not the same thing as like the cross treaty sphere stuff.
Yes,
it's interesting.
I would agree with you there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting what they're doing. I don't know that it's sustainable. I think what's happening is a bunch of new spheres have formed, and there isn't room in them for some of these alliances, and these alliances presumably probably don't have the relations with each other to make their own spheres, so they're sort of sitting in the middle. Obviously, there's the whole, I think Requiem's been pushing the idea of cross-sphere treaties, but I don't...
Sphereless or whatever they're doing,
yeah.
I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's actually going to be a thing that happens in the long term. Right now, I think it's just hiding numbers and hiding relationships, and also people who just aren't in blocks sort of floating in the middle so that they can stay relatively safe. Because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's going to hit any of these OD treaties because they have treaties with multiple spheres. So that's...
You don't... Okay, I'm going to save a follow-up question afterwards, actually, because it can apply to everybody. James, what's your thought?
I think they're ridiculous. Especially, some people seem to think that signing an O level, it's just going to be treated as an M level. So I'm not really sure if that's how people are viewing them, if that's how people feel about them. But if you're just signing an optional level treaty, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. What about you, Shwinn?
I think they're interesting because they have the most room for interpretation. Like I think Urban's O level is different than KT's O with Kata, which is sorry, different than Grumpy's O level with KT. So I think it's kind of interesting. I think when they're treated pretty much as M levels, like I would, yes, but it was very sad that we had to get rid of our O level with Hoff. That was very unfortunate. But I think I think if they're pretty much O levels, it makes it very boring. But think like I think if they're actually optional and people actually have some thinking to do about it, then I think it makes things a little more interesting.
Okay. Wana, what about you?
I think they're definitely an interesting prospect. They have the potential to add interesting elements to the FA scene that have simply been not present in recent years. Especially, it's been pretty much, you can look at the tier charts and see who's going to win a war and see who is, favored and who is going to be able to be sort of that dominant sphere. I think that this adds intrigue, which is, I think, something that the game needs. And I think the game has been lacking. And so in that regards, I am a fan of it.
Okay. Morf?
I mean, I'll agree with the audience. I think it's interesting. I think really the next global will be a litmus test of if it's actually interesting or if it was just a bunch of fun. Like you have to really see what happens when you hit somebody that has an O. Like, are they going to use it to actually chain in, or is it just like what Change Up said? Maybe someone is just trying to save some pixels, or maybe someone's just trying to throw up a smoke screen, or is it like Wana says, something maybe more strategic? It really is just going to have to see what happens. Really, I'm curious to see how it goes, but I don't know how it's going to go.
I think that you make a good point there, Morph. I think the jury is still very much out on whether it's a good thing or not because it has not been put to the test yet.
Yeah,
I think it's a double-edged sword. Personally, it's going to go one of two ways, right? One, somebody gets hit. Okay, they have an O level signed. O level declines to back them up. You're going to run right to Pixel, right? That's going to be the propaganda that's going to be spent. The second thing is that if you end up blitzing and that O level gets picked up, then next thing you know, they're going to say, well, it's always going to be activated. We're going to hit you in the blitz.
Yeah, well, that's why I said it's not sustainable. These O level treaties aren't going to survive one more, maybe two at the most, depending on who fights who and what. But I don't think this is going to. You're more likely to see things like what House Stark has done, where House Stark has signed an MD across spheres. That actually has some potential weight to it. But these OD treaties,
Mhm.
they're either going to manifest into MD treaties or they're going to manifest into nothing. And those are the only ways they're going to go. And then either way, we're going to see what they really mean. Like,
yeah.
They're not going to last as a political meta. I don't think.
I do think in right now it could be interesting just with where the game is with the like 4 or 5 ish somewhat major movers at various levels of the word major, I would say. But if a chain happens, how a chain goes could be the difference between a win and a loss. If they're activated. Caillou says treaty chest, maybe I don't know.
The only applicable treaty chance here there really is Kathango, because if you look at all the other ones, it's like Requiem tied to House Stark and all these other ones, but you have like KT is mainly tied to O2 and GB, and then like there's like a chain of these people that are all connected to each other, but there's no like real cross-sphere, like big cross-sphere treaties except for Kathango. Kathango has Eclipse, Aurora, TFP. That's actually 3 major alliances from 3 separate spheres. All the other ones is just like you could literally almost treat all these cross-sphere treaties as their own sphere because they're all connected to each other at this point.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I know the personal goal, at least in my mind, was to add more thought into war. Pretty much was really my whole goal, right? I wanted to add political intrigue in the sense of, do I pick up this, and activate this? Do I not? What drama is that going to start with that specific alliance by not picking up and activating that? And then also, obviously planning. I think when you look at let's just say Odu, because I'm tied to Kata. They end up getting hit, and what do we do later? And 1 or 2 alliances of O levels coming into a war at the right time can make a big difference. So at least in my mindset,
Once though. That's the problem. That only works once. If you defend with an OD, the next time everyone will be slotting
Right,
your numbers in
exactly.
unless you change your treaty.
Exactly, which is why I said it's a double-edged sword. So I'm really with you, Sketchy, on that. Like you might get 1 or, like you said, 1 or 2 wars out of it, but then I think it's just done. But that was my at least hope when I had jumped on board with that, was just add a little more thinking to the process, and make it bring another level, another layer.
I think what the game lacks now, in my opinion, with the dissolution of Hog, is another sphere. There's a lot of numbers sort of floating in the middle. And then you have like TFP, who was like a sphere, but not a sphere.
Sphere thing is what we're calling it.
Yeah, a
Sphere
sphere thingy. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the game really needs another proper like built out sphere to sort of count, because right now there's 4 spheres and it's like,
You got to have 5. You got to have an option.
yeah, you're gonna have 1v1 and then 1v1 and then 1v1 and then 1v1. You need like an odd number of spheres, I think, to add
So-
that extra layer of
So Shwinn, what do you
will
doing?
they jump in, will they not, sort of thing.
You gonna build a sphere? You dropped what's that? You had the beef with Cam after that. So what's next for TFP and your peripherals?
We're gonna be waiting for someone else and then dogpile in with them. So that's our plan for the next.
I mean, that's
That's our plan.
sound
So
plan.
we're looking out. We're on the hunt. Yeah.
The fighting pacifists.
My man has the most conflicting flag in the world. A dove with a NPO flag background. You can't make it up.
I was
but-
just looking at it. It's not actually the NPO flag back.
Oh yeah, they
It's a little different.
Altered.
There's
They
a few
turned
differences.
it to the side.
Question,
Sneaky
Shwinn. When are you gonna go back to the old flag, the red one with the like hanged men on the tree?
that's
what
the
you
war
should do.
flag.
They should just make that their all-time flag. Just wave it.
Yeah, our red one is the would be our war flag. Yeah. So I
Well,
guess when we go
just
to
say
war.
that you're in a constant state of war with yourselves. 'Cause that's very on brand.
There you go. Do
And then
do
just
the war one as
change
your
the flag to
permanent-
that.
Yep, do the war one as your permanent flag and make your peace flag your war flag.
I mean, I would prefer the TKR war flag over the regular flag too, but I don't get a
That's
vote.
why we gotta save it for
That
the
is
special
that is the
occasion.
thing with war flags. They're usually better, unless you're Rose.
Oh Lord, oh Lord. What was next? Oh yeah. So I wanted to go into the Bourbon Street aspect. So Bourbon Street, Morf, give us some thoughts. So they signed an O level with what was it? 3 members of your sphere.
Yeah.
What was the thought process on that, as opposed to doing a protectorate and then offering them an M level?
It was more of I don't want to say probationary, but kind of like a trial run, just seeing how, like, a lot of us had good relationships with Bourbon Street, but it was like, you know, Cataclysm had a different kind of relationship than TKR, and Name Withheld had a different kind of relationship with them. So it really
Okay, I
just
have a question.
gave us like a
But-
month to get to know them before we were like, hey, do you want to actually join our sphere?
What exactly did you actually trial in that trial run?
Just like how
You
we
signed them, and then nothing
how we
happened in
how we
that period.
communicate with them and like the relationship, just how that worked. Yeah, we didn't fight a war, but we spent a lot
Okay.
of time talking. Like that group chat.
Isn't
that
that
our leadership
usually
ran.
what you do in proceeding on treaty? Not necessarily like for an upgrade.
Well, like I
It's a
said,
very
it was
short span
it
of
was-
time to do it. Also,
I think it's just individuals versus like the whole conglomerate. So I don't know. It worked for us. It was we thought the 3 O's were enough to show like, hey, this is something, like they're kind of part of this sphere as like periphery. And we decided to bring them all the way in as the full baby. So
okay.
So I'm gonna get spicy for a second here. Sorry, hold on. Let me set up for this
I'm
one.
gonna take my antacid.
Yeah, well,
just
I
adjust
can't.
your
I can't
speed?
be all the spice here. You need to bring some spice for Lenny.
I got you. So I
Dan
believe.
just shifted his weight.
So in Ron, I had specifically said that Bourbon Street was trash. I am of the believer that Bourbon Street is not worthy of an M level. For that same line of thinking here, I believe that CTO going from CTO down to a Bourbon Street is a severe downgrade. How do you feel that Bourbon Street is going to fill that void?
What, the
That-
void of all the people going into VM?
of-
Damn,
of-
that's a
yeah.
hard void to fill, guys.
Yeah,
I said on the top 25, they were on.
Bourbon Street's gonna have so much trouble replacing the people in VM.
yeah, it's impossible to. Well, I won't be that mean. I won't be spicy. I like, but pretty comfortable
Don't
thinking.
mince the words more. No, more.
I feel pretty comfortable thinking that we're coming out of this feeling pretty good here.
But if they have one shit showing, are you going to drop them like CTO?
No, we dropped CTO because they lied to us about things.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Spice time. Go ahead. Drop it more. What'd they lie about?
I mean, it was.
They got them rolled. What the hell are you talking about?
We were not painted a full picture on certain issues regarding the CB that we were rolled for. So, yeah.
Yeah, you were rolled for it though, but they weren't because they were in VM.
So do you have
there were
So
some
do you have
things that they
resentment
were.
towards
Yeah.
CTO right now,
Oh,
given that Piggy is the leader?
no, I like Piggy. Piggy's great.
You're a Piggy
Oh.
fanatic. Who
I-
doesn't?
Well, that's easy to say in hindsight, though. But CTO now isn't the same. Like when they dropped CTO, it wasn't how they are now. Like, there's a difference. You can't say, well, you lost this big alliance with Piggy as leader, because they didn't. Because what they lost was what they dropped at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, CTO
Well, I think they're
is,
better now than
CTO
when
is
they
better
were
now than when we dropped them.
I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
But also, it was one thing to get rolled for CTO while watching their high tier disappear into VM while getting rolled for them. Just it dug a big hole, and I don't have anything against them. Like I'm not going out trying to roll them. I would happily sign them again at some point in the future, possibly if circumstances work out that way. But it just wasn't meant
It's
to be.
okay, Morf. I will make fun of them for VMing for you.
Thanks,
It's okay,
Sketchy.
bro. I got you.
Morph, do you remember the top 25 where Kevin and I put them on life support with the little
The red alarm, yeah, that was pretty
Oh
funny.
my gosh, it was brutal when you guys let him go. But the
And
reason, Sketchy, you have a good point on it's not the same alliance that you dropped, but you do have, in my mind, a little patience goes a long way too. So I mean, not saying that this predicament.
Okay, well, why do you think Bourbon Street is trash then? I guess would be my follow-up question.
Bourbon Street, in my opinion, okay, is worthy of a protected status. They are not an M level status
They're
because,
20th though.
and Camelot is too, and Castle
Yeah.
Cam. I mean, Castle Cam.
Why?
Sorry.
I wouldn't say Camelot should be a protectorate either.
No, I
I
was sorry.
I think you have to take the training wheels off of large alliances,
I meant
even if they're
Castle
not great.
my point is that they don't bring enough. I have said that I tried to say this on the forums. I guess it got misconstrued. I heard you were a little upset.
I wasn't upset. You asked for drama, so I felt obligated to give you drama.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Someone
But
had to do it.
but I believe that there are a lot of fluff alliances that get M levels that are undeserving. I think when I look at people like UPN, what does UPN bring to the table that is worthy of an M level to me? I just don't see it. I don't see the value.
I
Just
can see your point, but I'm of the opposite opinion in that I don't think alliances should be coddled with protectorates forever. I think this historically the problem has been that too many alliances that are too big have had protectorates. So I don't agree that these alliances should be protectorates. I think they should be thrown into the deep end as MDs, and if they can't handle it, they can't handle it.
okay.
Obviously, as an individual
Well-
alliance, I'm not signing most of them. So, but I
Well,
don't know what your beef with Bourbon Street is
Like-
specifically.
Sketchy has a good point here too, in that like if you would have asked somebody, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe, they probably would have said, definitely 2 years ago, that Dark Brotherhood was shit.
Mhm.
Right? That they were bad.
When we signed, when we upgraded them to an M level, an Oasis, Thierry and I looked at each other and we were like, "Are we sure?" Because these guys are just—they've been here, but like they're not good.
Yeah, but they got an opportunity, and then they had people like Sketchy join, but also had other people. But they got the opportunity, and they improved. Now they're in Florida, which is one of the main spheres. Like they got a chance, and they improved. Yeah, not everybody does that,
Yeah.
but if Bourbon just was left out in the middle of nowhere, they're not going to get an opportunity to prove it. I don't think they've been in an actual
I guess
sphere for a while.
No, the last one was the back rooms when they got
Yeah.
hit.
Well, here's what I think. This is my perspective, right? They're the 20th. They're the 20th largest alliance in the game. I don't think there's enough alliances to be putting alliances at like 20 in protectorate status. I think someone has to sign them. You might think that Odu is too good for them or something. That's fine. I mean, you're not signing them, so you don't have to worry. But I think someone should. I would much rather alliances of that size be MD treated to someone than be sitting in protectorate. Because alliances that are sitting in protectorate, most of the time they aren't doing anything. They aren't engaging with the game. They're just sitting in protectorate. And the ones that are shouldn't be protectorates anymore. They should be MDs. Like look at Oblivion, if you want an example.
Mhm.
Oblivion's not a large alliance, right? They're in the 40 to 50 range most of the time, but they've been an MD alliance and had impacted for a long time.
Sure.
And I would prefer more alliances like that. Like Mayhem is another example in Odu, right? They're not even in the top 30 alliances, and they're an MD alliance. So you need more alliances that are MD alliances, not less, is my opinion, even if they aren't great. How they get better is by becoming MD alliances and getting rolled a couple of times. And if they don't become better, they usually disband.
So
I don't know. I don't agree with that.
I was going to
mindset.
interrupt before, just to go back on the point, the point of why I said those comments against Bourbon Street and I have nothing against Bourbon Street. I actually love Hannah and Kilo and all them. The context of the comment was, why did they sign an O level and not get an M level? And that was my response, was that they weren't deserving of the M level.
Okay. Well, fair enough. In that sense, yeah. I mean, I think they should have signed straight in as an
No,
MD.
just to clarify, that was the whole context there.
Oh, like I said, we were taking it slow. You don't rush straight to an M.
Yeah, no, and
you
Speak
whine
for
and
yourself.
dine. You know,
I locked that shit down immediately.
Sketchy makes
I signed straight in a week. That's how I roll. I
I
don't know what
do
you're talking
agree
about.
with Sketchy's point of people do deserve an opportunity. I think, though, that the value when you look at a sphere, at least, again, this is just my personal thought process here, is when I look at a certain sphere, that whoever I'm bringing in as an M level has to be on a similar level of the rest of them. I'm not looking for just meat shields to fill. I want competency with it.
yeah,
There's only so many
yeah.
competent
Right. There's
alliances.
only so many. Right. There's only so many. And that's kind of where my thought process was with Odu, was I was like, man, when I'm looking to sign somebody, if I'm sitting in that block right now, like Bourbon Street just wasn't there. But
But like, who
they're
else?
willing to
that's
go
not
down
in this
swinging.
sphere?
They're willing to go down swinging. They're not afraid to get into a small scrap. So, they are resilient. I do think that they have potential. I'm just not sure that the right people are in the right positions to get them to excel.
Well, for me, I'm not as familiar with Bourbon Street to be able to speak to their quality because they've been around like since I formed. I haven't really watched them, but I don't think it's even about potential or opportunity. Like, okay, use UPN as an example, which I think is a lot better. UPN's basically an undead alliance as far as I'm concerned. They've existed far past their expiry date. Let's put it
Their
that way.
expiration date, right?
But would you rather them be an MD ally to Midgard, or would you rather them become a protectorate? Which is it? I think it's better that they stay in MD and they still have to fight and they still have to change, because if once you've put them into a protectorate status and let them sit there, that's it, sort of thing. I would much rather more alliances, even bad ones, be MD allies than less, because the game needs more numbers in general. There are alliances that are protectorates now that probably could be full alliances, really.
So with that, well, I guess we'll kind of continue that thinking though. But what's preventing a TFP then from being a core member into one of these big spheres?
Well, there's only 4 spheres. That's the answer to that question.
Their flag.
Well, I mean,
TFP
you would have to ask TFP. I don't know their specific.
No, I'm just saying, like under that point.
I can imagine that many of those spheres would probably take TFP. I'm not sure. It's more I'll speak on behalf of Florida, right, in saying that the reason I wouldn't sign TFP isn't because I don't think TFP would make a good ally. It's simply because it would be too large. We'd have too many.
Yeah, people are still playing
many
the
people.
People are still playing the size dance. They're trying not to be too big.
Well, it's not even just trying to be. I don't think it's good for the game to stack huge amounts of numbers. This is why I think a 5th sphere would be good right now. And there's enough numbers on the table from various places to do so. It's just there isn't a will, I guess, to do so. I don't know. That question's better asked to TFP because I don't know what their FA mindset is.
Shwinn, what do you feel that obviously TFP, bigger person, right now you're what, 6 maybe. What do you feel like you would be an upgrade over any current existing ally that one of these larger spheres have? And why do you think that you're not being approached? Or do you not want to be approached? Have you been approached and turned down?
Well, in terms of upgrades over other people in spheres, I mean, yes, I don't think we are the. I think we could, we're probably better than some of the alliances out there. But that doesn't mean we necessarily have to force our way in there. I mean, yeah, people play, size and stuff that don't want to get too big. And also I think all the blocks at the moment are pretty set in stone, I would say. Or at least for the next couple months. I think maybe in a few months we will we'll see some things shake around, and then maybe we can, we'll have some options to work with. But I think as they stand now, I think the 4 blocks are pretty established, and I don't think us coming into any of them would be mutually beneficial for either of us.
So what are your goals? Is it to make your own sphere again? Or what's the future of TFP's treaty state and FA?
Well, I mean, at the moment, we're pretty content with our good allies at Kalstark and Carthago, and Coven, of course. But I don't think there's. I think we'll wait until things shake up a little bit, and then if we have an opportunity, we'll take it then. But I think for now, I don't think there's really any benefit of us trying to force our way into any of the 4 spheres at the moment. So I think it's more a short-term waiting game for a long-term gain.
Do you see yourself
60 chess.
60
Yeah,
chess?
yeah.
Do you see yourself going off and doing some out of characteristic TFP things, some solo wars, or teaming up with somebody else to cause some drama?
Well, it depends what the basis of characteristic TFP is. I mean, I guess I would say we're different than our Cromwell days, our Harry days, and probably our Vel days as well. So I think we are. I think we're a little different. We're just waiting for our time to show that.
Okay. Let's go to James with Midgard. Let me see my list. Hold on, I don't have too many questions left. Oh my gosh, that was loud. Bridget's slamming doors and stuff.
Come on, Bridget.
Jeez, she scared the hell out of me. All right, well, let's go to. Yeah, I don't really have too much left. I guess we can wrap it up unless there's anything.
Future.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, unless there's anything else, we can jump right into predictions. Is there any topic?
There is one thing I would add to the conversation we just had, which
Yeah.
with regards to TFP, I would argue that TFP is the 5th largest alliance in the game. They are at a point where where it doesn't make sense for them to partner up with like a Rose or a TKR or a Syndicate, because they have enough hard power that they could be a sphere leader rather than a sphere follower. I think more of the top alliances should be leading their own spheres rather than necessarily combining together to make a sphere, is my opinion.
I think a TFP could be in a position to sign a Grumpy and build from there.
Will that tiering work at all?
No, well, I'm just saying as a starting point. Obviously,
Well,
you
I
would
think,
multiple.
I
Other
mean, why wouldn't it work? Obviously,
mean-
you would have other spheres, but why wouldn't that work in
I just
theory?
think like an alliance like Grumpy is one that, like, the reason we didn't sign them after GGO broke up was because tiering for us and them just didn't work. Like,
Well, I think
the
Grumpy is
Guardian
their
and
own.
Grumpy
in their own tier at the moment. The only alliance that's really keeping up
par
with
with
like
them is
in that
Test,
is like Test, yeah. So
Yeah, but like at least with Grumpy and Guardian, like Grumpy's like covered their bottom tier. Like they
You
worked
mean
well
Guardian?
together. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
Guardian covered, yeah.
Guardian. Yeah, Guardian covered Grumpy's bottom tier.
Well, the
And it
TFP is growing pretty well, but obviously it doesn't have to be Grumpy. It could be
Oh, yeah,
any
no,
any alliances.
Yeah, I was just asking. I hadn't looked at TFP's
Yeah, I haven't
tier-
looked at their tier.
period until
They're stacked at 32 at the
I
moment.
I clicked when I asked the question. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, they're building a nice little wall there, but yeah,
I think
Grumpy's in a
they're
bad place.
quietly building themselves into a candidate. They're playing the right cards. Just kind of staying low and doing their own thing, taking advantage of their growth and
I
their
think-
tiering and
I know for me personally, the thing with TFP that I want to see is I just want to see how they do in a global, which I know they're not in a good spot to be in a global, but that's like my question just about
So does
it.
a
Like,
TFP get approached?
I don't know, maybe,
Join?
but like from just a if a when you're building a sphere, we talked a little bit earlier about like you think bourbon's trash because of a quality question. But like the last time that we saw TFP in a global, like an actual global, like back in Oasis, so hot. So like that's the last time anyone saw them there. So like when you're building a sphere and you're looking for quality, I think it's fair to say that TFP is a question mark. Like I think they've improved. Looks like they've improved, but
I don't know. They're number 5. They have 120
well, yeah, but
members.
like back in different game, but CN at one point Legion had like 1,000 people, the number 2 lines of the game, and just blew up. Like paper, like just because you look good on paper doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna. Like I said, I think they
would have to like I
epically
see your
collapse,
point, but
yes.
at the same time,
Yeah.
they're at the signs where they would have to like do really poorly for them not to make a significant difference to any grouping that would pick them up, or that any new grouping that would be made with them. So I don't know. I'm not.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying like that's where
None of these alliances operate at 100%.
Yeah, but when we were building Odoo, thinking of that's what was going through my head when I was thinking about P.
I
but
know what you mean.
so
I
that's
would
no sense, Shwinn.
I would also be looking at TFP like a potential alliance that you could help get closer to 100% if they're not. I haven't seen them in a war recently, so I don't know how TFP is, but
Yeah, well, I agree. Like Shwinn getting into FA has been nice because now there's actually like this vocal face. Because after Velyni left, it was like TFP made some questionable calls and then just kind of disappeared. Like they were out there, but there was no one like doing anything for them.
How is it that TFP seems to get all of these people who then go on to do things in other alliances? This
Good
seems to
question.
be becoming a pattern.
I joined TFP because of Harry and Vice. That's the only reason I went there.
Yeah.
So
Harry is another example though. So I've noticed a pattern.
People go to TFP, they make a name, and something happens, they leave in 16-0. Because even Vice was running Voodoo there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Vice went in and out of there a bunch of times.
And he's been pretty vocal and grumpy, I've heard. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but I know that was at one point he was, especially when SRD had stepped back. That was the big deal. Speaking of which, I do have one more topic before I get our predictions and wrap it up. How do you guys feel? And we'll start with you, Morf. People like SRD, stepping down, Weisel stepping down, Horsecock taking off. How do you think that ripple effect plays out? Do you think it's good for the game to give new faces an opportunity, or do you think it's a big loss for the community?
I mean, it's both in a way. Like, I think it's always great to get new faces, but it is sad to see like some big figures go. Um, like having Prez take a bigger role for Canback stepping up in a bigger way. You and Duck for Hand of Fate, people that weren't necessarily the face getting more street cred is good, but it also it's good for the game because it makes it a little less predictable. Like, I mean, with SRD, you basically knew
You knew what you're
Ronnie. Yeah, you knew what you're gonna get with Ronnie. Like, gonna say stuff that might get you rolled on a race. Going to, always have his thing and do his thing. And Prez is very different than Ronnie. Canback is very different than Weisel with how he approaches FA. You're different than Horsecock when approaching FA. You kind of lose. New faces mean you can't guess quite as well what an alliance do. But it's good for the game still, I think, to get those new faces.
What about you, Wana?
I think it's always sad to see old players leave. I've been around on this panel probably the longest of any of the current people on this panel, and it's you remember the people who you lost, and you remember them, and you hope that they're doing well, and it's sad to see them leave, and I think that value is lost when they leave, and I think that a lot of our history is lost when people who wrote it are no longer here. That being said, I do think it's good to get new faces in positions of power and across the game. I think that new blood is ultimately the thing that keeps the game running, because churn is always going to be a part of the game. You're always going to be losing people. There's always going to be some level of attrition. So you have to be getting new people. And you just hope that you can do a good enough job training them and teaching them that they can do as good of a job as the people who came before him.
Wanna just on that topic, because you are a long-term player, do you see yourself kind of nearing the end of your own personal journey, or do you think you're gonna, do you see, not run out of steam yet?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say. A good friend of mine, Prefontaine, once gave me a good piece of advice, and he said to do it till you're not having fun with it anymore. And so that's what I intend to do.
I was just curious, given longevity there. Jarek says you're a tree, so you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, my 2-year anniversary as FA is coming up soon. I believe.
Nice. So. Congrats in advance.
Thank you.
Shwinn, what about you? What's your thoughts on when these big names inevitably step down, go into retirement, and die off a little bit?
I think it's nice to, on the flip side, you can say it's nice to give someone else a chance, It's like, I think, SRD was there for like 8 years? Something like that. And I think, I don't remember, I think there was someone else that stepped down after a long time. But it's someone else, it's nice to give someone else a run at things and see how they do. I mean, I won't be doing so anytime soon, but other people are welcome to do so. And, and let new people take the reins.
And I think TFP is a good example of what happens when older people do retire, and you're able to bring up some new people with more energy and progressive thinking. They're flourishing more than they have in their past, just due to having more willingness internally. Sketchy, what about you? You've been blocked. You've seen a lot come and go.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to be the bad guy here, because I think new faces are a little bit overrated. To be honest, the issue is, are they good? That's all that matters. Because when you lose someone who's a staple of the community, someone who's actually done a lot, you're not guaranteed to get someone replacing them who is good. And very often you'll see a strong character leave the game, and they'll be replaced by someone who's just not good, and that alliance declines. So I don't know. I don't see it as an inherently good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing that happens, and sometimes you get good people, and sometimes you get bad people. I don't know. As someone, I have a unique perspective, I guess, in that I've been gone for 2 years and now I'm back, and I do see a lot of new faces, so that makes it interesting for me, I guess. But like, I don't know necessarily that it's good for the game inherently, because it always comes down to, are they quality or not? And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. That's where I am.
What about you,
And
James?
losing a
sorry.
lot of people once is not great. Oh no, sorry, it's fine. James, it's all you.
I heard the pause and I was like, "Dum."
Yeah, it's my brain processing things.
Well, I mean, I'm the last one to say anything, and everybody's basically said everything already. I'd have to agree with everything. You know, it's good and bad. It sucks to see somebody that, you know, most people have basically known for years and they talk to quite often. That person leaves. You know, it could be a great player leaving, and you know their replacement isn't as brilliant or isn't as tactically savvy or something like that. And but that's the way it works. You know, it's just like in real life. Good people get replaced with crappy people, and crappy people get replaced with good people. It's back and forth.
All right. What I guess to end the show, let's get our final predictions, some hot takes on what's gonna happen in the next 60 days. We got GGO's nap ending with Fortuna, so that's gonna free up a couple of those. What is everybody's free taste? Go ahead and lead that, James. Give me a hot take.
Hot take. Well, I don't think anything happens the moment the nap ends, but I think real hot take. We're gonna see what everybody wants. The two big boys going at it. Give us what we want. Give the people what we want.
What about you, Sketchy? What's your hot take on what's going to happen in the next 60?
In the next 60 days, I'm just gonna keep buying people more cities. That's what's gonna happen. That's the Paradise plan right now. So that's all I got for you. Unless you want a hot take, in which case I'm gonna hit Morf.
Yep, do that hot take. You're going to hit Morf in the next 60 days.
Yeah, I'm just gonna not Odu to be clear,
One-on-one.
just
One-on-one.
Morf. Oh, it won't be me. I'm not gonna do that. I won't stick to that. I'll find a guy to do it for me.
Okay.
Or three. What do you reckon, Morf?
Can I build the
Sound
4K?
good?
Can I build the 4K info first?
Yeah, sure. I'll
Okay.
allow it.
Then yeah, I'm down. Let's dance.
But
Shwinn,
yeah,
what about you?
serious answer. I don't think anything's gonna happen anytime soon.
Oof. Stand still. All right, Shwinn, what do you got? Next 60 days hot take.
Well, Morph was looking for us to get involved in the war, so I think I'll join Sketchy and we'll hit dodgeball together. I think.
Let's do it. Let's dance, baby.
Shit.
See, look,
But
I
I
already
think,
found someone.
I think seriously, I would agree with James where I think we're gonna see Florida and Fortuna go at it. I don't know.
Who's gonna blitz Shwinn? Who's gonna go first?
I think Florida's gonna go first. If I had to guess, maybe a little surprise. I'm not sure. That's my hot
See,
take.
that's an interesting question because is Rose gonna do anything? Are they just gonna sit back?
Relax and enjoy the show.
You know, hey, you never. They could turn a leaf too. Wana, what about you? Hot take, 60 days.
I don't know if it's about anything about the next 60 days. I'm not going to make a prediction about that. But I will say, hot take, I think Rose has currently been the beneficiary and is in the best position based on the way that the world is currently aligned. I would say that they are in the single best position in the game at the moment.
And Morph, what about you?
60 days. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we start hearing more about who's gonna hit who. That's gonna start spooking people into somebody hitting somebody. If I had to guess, I mean, I would think Florida and Fortuna are gonna look at each other. Now, will they hit each other? I don't know, but I think they'll be looking at each other. And then the real question becomes, will they hit each other? And does Florida feel comfortable going solo against good old Fortuna?
Up until now, we've not even been looking at each other. Like, I don't even know what Fortuna. Who's in Fortuna? Can you remind me? Sorry.
I think it was TFP.
Starcast.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I haven't been looking, but I'm gonna start looking in the next 60 days. I promise, guys. That's the correct prediction.
Well, you've been napping for now, so your eyes are closed. So
Exactly.
When the nap's over, you open your eyes and you'll look.
All right, I'm gonna end it.
What's your hot take?
My hot take.
I have a question. Who does everybody think gets spooked into milling up first?
Oh, I'm milling up tomorrow. I'm already spooked.
KT will mill up tomorrow and cause a global. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I think
probably us from Midgard, probably just because we're both smaller than
I think
Florida.
I think Dodgeball is going to be the first to mill up sphere wise. I think
like, what are we talking about? Mill up, like
just to be clear, what Velyni is saying is he's calling you a pussy. That's what he's saying.
Well, like there's a difference between going from like 025 to 035.
No, I'm talking like a 5553. I think Odu's is the first one. Defensive, you're not going to be caught with your pants down. You're gonna.
I mean, after what happened with Midgard, maybe. I don't ever want to get pants again.
Yeah, so I think you're the first.
Oh, shucks.
My hot take in the next 60 days, Fortuna will hit Florida with GGO still under the nap.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Them down as the nap expires.
Why that? Well, that how does that make any sense? Why would we hit Guardian when they're still napped?
Well, they would hit everyone except.
You would hit everybody except Guardian and Oblivion and pin them down. So that
if you want, we can sign a 5-month nap right now.
The only thing I'm going to say is that is one of the ideas of all time.
Wana, we can make that prediction all happen. We'll just sign like a 2-year nap right now. You and me, we'll just pen it right here, and then you won't be able to hit Paradise either.
You know, because if you're waiting for that nap to expire, you can hit the rest of them. Already deplete that possibility right there.
Yeah, but
for it even.
Does an M level? We've had this conversation before, haven't we?
Does the M level activate in
super shooting
that is the question, but that's a good political intrigue right there.
Okay, but let's ask the real question. What do you think the war after the next war is going to be? And what do you think the war after the next war is going to be?
It's going to be
really
stop that.
A PNW exodus to the DS. Diplomacy and Strife. Because I'm playing that more than I'm playing.
Why? Oh god.
Because it's entertaining.
A Chinese knockoff version of Politics and War.
Yeah, but it's fun.
All right, let's run through. James, final thoughts. Anything?
No.
All right, Sketchy.
Sorry, I don't have any thoughts.
Okay,
it's above my pay grade.
Shwinn, anything before we sign off?
Not really, to be honest.
All right, Wana.
No, good.
Good. All right, and Morph.
Build Morph to C40 gang.
Wow. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning into Morf Radio. After show will be in somewhere. I don't know.
All right.